Very, very warm welcome. My name is Saskia Stein. I'm the director of the International Architecture Biennale. Very warm welcome to our guests who arrived all the way from Ukraine. It's greatly appreciated that you made the effort to join us here in Rotterdam. Of course, welcome to all the people who are giving the table leaders, giving the workshop, and primarily also to the people going to do the network, the thinking together, the collaborating. For those of you who do not know the IABR, we facilitate design by research, and every other year, through the lens of the topic, put that work, that design work, that thinking, that collaborating on a podium. And actually, in about 2 weeks, the next one will open, Nature of Hope, where we reflect on ecologies or cities as metabolisms and question what can hope be as a position. For me, it's a verb. It's an active choice because it's very easy, through the lens of all the conflicts in the world currently, to become hopeless or feel that the scale of the question is larger than the scale of the answers we can provide. But with a group of institutional and enthusiastic architects and urbanists and designers, we've been working for the last year, in fact, on several topics. So, but of course it's also my honor to be here. We've just closed off the horizon to see the whole city of, Oslo, this is me, but because we're here at the Erasmus University, and I think, David, you have to help me once again where David Dodman is the General Director and he's our host. Please join me in the front. Give me a little small applause. So maybe just to kick off the E, the I, the H, and the S.
Yes.
What does it stand for?
The Institute for Housing and Urban Development Studies.
And you wanted to welcome us in particular while the last people are entering, so I'll give you the headphone.
Thank you. Indeed, I'd very much like to welcome you. So, my name is David Dodman. I'm the General Director here at the Institute for Housing and Urban Development Studies, IHS. I feel it would be a good thing for me to give you a sense of why you are here in Rotterdam and here at Erasmus University and here at IHS, what's special about this place and why it might be an appropriate place for your conversations over the next 3 days. Rotterdam is a city that I have really come to love. I've lived here in just for approaching 2 years. I'm British and I moved here to work at IHS because I really strongly believe in the mission of the Institute to move towards more inclusive and sustainable cities. And the way that the Institute and my colleagues here have done this over a very long time, the Institute celebrated its 65th anniversary last year. And that's quite significant timing, and the history of the Institute and the history of the city of Rotterdam are linked together very closely. In May 1940, Rotterdam was pretty much destroyed in the aftermath of German bombing, mainly by fires in the aftermath of the bombing. If you haven't spent much time in the city, you should go to the city centre. There are literally, and René has been here longer than me, I think 3 buildings that remain from before then. The 4 buildings: the Skibroek's house, Skieland's house, the Groot St. Lawrence Kirk, the old post office, and the gemeente, the city hall. So there are 4 buildings that have survived since before that, and the rest of the city centre has been entirely rebuilt in the years following the Second World War. And it was because of the experience of rebuilding the city that this institute, originally the building centre, the Bouwcentrum, was set up in the late 1950s. and really to share the knowledge and expertise that had been gained here from that horrendous experience and to put it to positive and good in terms of thinking about what a city should be like. And there are many great innovations in the city that came from them. Some of the first pedestrianised shopping streets, a very cyclable city. Some of the things which maybe we, looking back 50, 60 or 80 years, we think were not such good experiments or ideas, but still a fascinating city to see what can be done in the aftermath of a significant urban trauma. My personal move here also coincided with some of the challenges that I know you're going to be grappling with. My children moved to schools in Rotterdam, which were for people who are moving to the Netherlands without speaking Dutch to be integrated into the Dutch education system. And my daughter, who was 12 at the time, was in a class with 12 Ukrainian students and just 3 other students. So really getting a feeling of how we're in a globally interconnected world and what's happening in different places is engaged with and has implications elsewhere. So I hope you feel very welcome in Rotterdam. I hope you feel very welcome here at IHS. I will be in the building for most of the next 3 days, and so I'll try and join you at lunch and coffee times. And I'd really be happy just to chat to anybody and to keep finding out what's going on in these meetings. We have students here, former students here, who've been very involved in the process. And I'm sure they'll also be very good ambassadors for IHS and what we stand for. So welcome, and I wish you all the best for the next few days.
Thank you, David. The next person I would like to introduce is Alexandra. Some of you have met her yesterday, for others it's a new face, but one of the driving forces behind UN. Could you maybe unpack a little bit what UN stands for and what the ambitions are of the foundation?
Thank you. You, as we already spoke yesterday, but I will repeat quickly, really briefly, that UN connects Dutch and Ukrainian urban planners, architects, urban professionals in the topic of reconstruction of Ukraine. And we focus on 3 topics: networking, and I would like to emphasize about networking since I'm an IHS alumni. I graduated from 8 years ago, and I'm very happy to be here in my alma mater. And on my very first class here, the professor said, like, you're going to get here not the knowledge, but the network. And I was like, what? But I have to say it was really the most valuable things that you can get, and also that formed the way the UN evolved, because it started from the networking. So I just had a very big impact on UN creation as well. And after that, we also, UN works on capacity building, which was also a bit of impact of IHS, since IHS works a lot with that. And think tank, and these workshops are part of this think tank process. And I'm very happy to be here back in IHS, and I hope you also will enjoy this time here. And for the IHS students here, thank you very much for joining us, and thank you.
Thank you, Alexandra. Okay, so now that we've laid the foundation, maybe zooming in a little bit more on the topics that the UN network and its partners have decided to work on. So the first iteration of these workshops was around water, trying to think through the Kakhovka Dam, which I'll share a few slides on in a second. Today we'll speak about healthy and future-proof neighborhoods, and these other topics over the course of the next 2 years are being investigated either through workshops or talks or other modes of understanding the near future. And maybe it's interesting to mention that that near future is also something that actually binds all of us. because that near future is filled with many uncertainties that actually connect us on a planetary level. And I think this is the surplus value of both this network and moving forward through these questions, is that nobody has the blueprint for how to deal with the energy transition, or with water on a systemic level, or potentially different financial models, or reinventing the community. So these are the topics that we will be looking into, but the most important thing I want to emphasize is that we are learning from and with each other in finding spatial strategies to deal with that uncertain and near future. Important is also to mention that we're not doing this alone, as either UN nor IABR. We are supported by the CRA, the College van Rijksarchitecten. Pavlo, can you help me in English?
The new one is College van Rijksbouwminister and Rijksadviseurs. Board of Government Advisors, yeah.
Board of Government Advisors, of which one, namely the state architect, will join us a little bit later, but as it goes with important people, you never know when they come, but they will come. He will come. Vereniging Delta Metropool New Institute, where you all met yesterday. So with this group of people, we are working in different temporalities over the scope of the next period, both here and hopefully, fingers crossed, also in Ukraine, on the topics that I just shared. So one iteration was, of course, around Golkovka Dam. You know, what happens when we see that architecture and urbanism gets militarized? Poses the question on how to rebuild. Do we rebuild through the lens of, let's say, modernity, where possibly control and technology are the answer, or do we use these moments to question different modes of working? In the Dutch context, the water and subterranean soil, it's a bit of a difficult word for a policy, but water en bodemsturend, is a new way of trying to connect everything that is happening under the earth, things we can't see, and connect that in a better way on what we actually put on top. So maybe we shouldn't build in minus 3.5 meters under sea level, just as a question. Or, I don't know, design a floating city in that kind of areas. I say it very lightly. But this was a beautiful encounter in the Pond, where we talked about that the region, through different strategies, approaches, and we luckily were met with the Archipri international talents, so it was a very diverse group. And for those of you who want to look into this, there's a nice video compilation online. Okay, yesterday we kicked off. I was unfortunately not there because I'm also working at the Design Academy and we had exams. But I want to honor all the people that are on this slide, because they will be doing the hard work. They have all adopted a topic around this question of what are healthy and future-proof cities. We will divide you in a second. And then, oops, I have to, how do I go back? Elena, you were on the right corner. Could you maybe join me for 1 second? Also a driving force behind UN and working at Postdoc Max 1 as a urban designer. And I thought maybe, since you are lead workshopper, what would your definition be of a healthy and future-proof neighborhood, just as a kickoff? And you could choose your own context.
Yeah. Thanks for this super nice introduction. I realized, or actually Alexander pointed out that I kind of forgot to introduce myself yesterday, so jumped straight into the workshop and content. But I'm an urban planner or urban designer with 20 years now of experience in the Netherlands, and I've always actually dreamed to kind of translate that experience to Ukraine as well. So for me, this opportunity is super cool. On the topic of neighborhoods, I'd like to borrow Anastasia's and Teras's concept from yesterday. I think it's a utopia, but it's a utopia for realists. I would like to encourage everyone to search for that during this workshop, because as we're
explained yesterday, neighborhoods are not so much about, are not only about the space, but are also about relationships, and about the way that we relate to others and to our environment. And the healthy and future-proof neighborhoods will hopefully create the space for these relationships and communities to flourish and exist. And the other thing is that neighborhoods are by their nature decentralized, and it's a kind of necessity at the moment because of the war. So you cannot centralize anything because at any moment things can be destroyed and then your whole system is destroyed. And on the other hand, people are also displaced. So they are within the country, not at their home. So designing for the healthy and future-proof neighborhoods needs to take this into account. So how do we create space? Maybe it's not a physical space, maybe it's some kind of other space, but also the physical space. It's healthy, and attractive, and sustainable. But yeah, how do you design to these conditions which we are not really used to, but which we will have to be used to with the consequences of climate change and other societal transitions that we face other than wars.
Yeah. So basically, if I understand you correctly, you're saying don't focus only on the hardware, but take other criteria into the equation. Just out of, I also think when I think neighborhoods, I also somehow think of my past. I do not know why, even though we're going to talk about healthy and future-proof. Do you have a memory? I don't know, where are you from in Ukraine?
Yeah, from Kiev, from one of these Soviet neighborhoods with all the blocks. And yeah, the thing that I remember is everything that I within walking distance. So I would also like to borrow, I don't remember who it was who said, one of the students, I think, that said, yeah, we should not forget the hardware and the nice things that was there as well. So I would also encourage everyone to not start from scratch, because that leads to kind of modernist things that we have to fix in years and decades later. But to start from the good things that we already know that work.
Yeah. Fantastic. Thank you for the introduction. Please give it up to Renee. Okay, so I am. Any news from the? Still waiting? Okay. Then I suggest. Did I forget anything? Are there questions already now? Anybody wants to speak up? Wants to say if this is not addressed here, then Johanna, I think it's a good moment to maybe elaborate a little bit on how literally physically the workshops will be organized.
Yes.
So this is Johanna. I'm now forgetting your surname. I'm very sorry. Yeah.
Johanna Fuller.
Fuller, that's it. I'm so sorry. We only talk on first base name. Maybe you can take us by the hand how the structure will be for the next days.
Yes, I can definitely do that. I think first of all, practical instance of where will you actually be working. So this will be our space for plenary sessions. So we will hopefully have our state architect here in a bit, and then we will see if we can arrange also something for tomorrow morning. So that will all be here. And then together with the help of the people from IHS, Madame Stein, we arranged for some separate workspaces on this floor. And basically, you can sit anywhere you want, because for the students there, it's not they're not here right now because they have exams, if I'm correct. So we made some workshop spaces. So if you leave through this door, you will find 2 spaces on the right, and then one more, 2 more, 1 more. So it's basically around this corner that we will be this week. For now, I put the maps of your case study in a separate spot, so you can go and look and find which map is yours, and then you will hopefully also find your group. So that's that. We will have lunch also. It will be served here on the same floor. It will be kind of a buffet, and it will be served at 12:15 approximately. And then we can stay in this building till at least 5:30 9:30. If it's going to be a lot later, we have to do it in, now Sharon is telling me we can also stay till 6. Okay, we can stay till 6, but yeah.
I'm around anyway.
Okay, well, yeah, just so we know that no one is getting lost. Anything else?
Maybe roughly the other days?
Yeah, I think we're hoping to start also the other, like tomorrow maybe with also a lecture, but it's just not sure. So I would say we start at least at 9:30 every day. You're welcome here. I will definitely be here. There'll be coffee and tea for you. And then we will have the same time for lunch tomorrow. And then on Friday, obviously, we will also have a presentation of results, for which Saskia will also return. So that will be Friday in the afternoon at 2:30. We'll also be in this space. And I know there's like not too many empty chairs, but we can also invite if you feel like someone who wants to come or join, or it would be good to have a colleague here, or they're welcome to join you for these presentations. I will either today or tomorrow send you all an email with some outlines, formats for this presentation also. And please, in the meantime, I'm sure I'm forgetting something. I'm going to be walking around here, also with my colleague Tanya. Please just ask us anything. If you need a specific kind of paper or something like this, just ask and we can see what we can do. Maybe just a very practical thing for printing. If you want to print something, we can, but please just email it to me and I will email it to Sharon, and then we will print this for you. Yeah.
The coffee machine. They're welcome to use that as well.
Yeah, exactly.
The cups are behind.
So in the morning we will have some coffee and tea on the table as today, but during the day you're also welcome to use the machines that are on the same floor here. Yeah, just don't do it all at the same time because it will take some time. Yeah.
Maybe can you also explain the experts, all the people that are...
That's a very good point, yes. So next to our table leaders as experts, we will also have some separate experts that will attend either this afternoon, today, or tomorrow. For example, Simone is already here. We will, they're just here to offer feedback, to have a look, to ask questions. You can ask them questions. And it's mainly just so we can keep the conversation going and have some, let's say, critical review of your work. Of course, all experts have different expertise, so they might come and ask you a totally different question, but I think it's good that we all get stimulated in this way. Yeah.
And you can find the bios of the experts on the Miro board.
Yes, so on Miro, the link we sent you a lot of times, so I hope by now you can find it.
Is there anyone who does not have the link to my report?
I would be surprised. Oh my god.
Coming your way soon. Look up with Johanna.
Yeah, so on this Miro board we have photos and bios from all experts, so you can already see like what is their expertise and what questions you might want to ask them. But again, you can also come to us and we will provide you with this information.
Okay, I'll just walk over to Simone so that you can prepare. Oh, and while I'm walking, please give it up for Johanna and for Tanya. Because they did an amazing, amazing job in getting everybody here and organized. And Simone, what can people ask you, or what is your niche speciality?
Actually, I don't have a niche specialty.
You're a generalist.
I would say so. So I'm a colleague Pablo, and he asked me to join as a neighborhood expert. At the moment with the CRR, we are working on several neighborhood researchers, and we are in the middle of it. So I would like to share some of those experiences. But I had a look on the different topics yesterday, and I think there are also some other topics like this mining industry topics that we have worked on some future studios that we had last year. So I think I will join the several tables and just listen a bit, and then I would like to share with them and have some answers.
So this is, you're hinting at that we're maybe shifting to understanding our material culture differently and use materials in another way, which brings me to a book that was recently written by your neighbor, Thijs van Stepaan of Bright. You wrote a book with many others on the city as a metabolism. And could you maybe tell us what that means, or what you try to research?
Good question. What we try to put down in the book is that if you look at all the systems that are at place in the city, whether it's mobility or energy or waste flows or the flows of people and how people use it, and the economic systems, and if you take that as a starting point to design cities, what could you end up with? So it was basically an exploration of the broad kind of variety of directions you could take, taking systems that are present in cities.
Can you just make it very concrete for me? I'm going to act down. What is a system in a city?
Well, mobility is one, but also energy is an important topic anywhere. We did a whole exhibition about energy for the IABR also. But what if you take the nodes in the energy system of the future as a starting point for urbanization? What kind of functions would you get there? What about ownership? What about how you share this new energy system together? So how does it form a community basically? So that's one example.
Yeah. Okay, from material culture to systems, and from systems to maybe housing. We have Patrick Meijers here from Orange Architects, leading architect there. I would say your expertise is really the housing block. Is that correct? Or what would your definition be of the core challenges we're facing in our inner cities at the moment regarding designing healthy and future-proof neighborhoods?
I wouldn't say the focus is the building block, but more the micro-urbanism, so the composition of building blocks together, how they interact with each other, but not the building blocks itself. Because I think the main goal is how do you make a livable city and a healthy future-proof neighborhood, so it's the soft space or the soft values, and how do you create the hard values around it. So not try to start from the hardware, but start from the software, and then see how you can make good livable areas in these cities.
And this software is the same software as Elena is talking about, the community, or are there other values I should think of?
Yeah, I think so if you look at flora and fauna, so that's the space where we have to live in, together with nature, animals, together with us. Then you have to see how you want to do this, how you want to organize it. And then you can see what is needed for this, and then you end up in physical interventions.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, I tried to bridge the gap. Is the state architect close or not?
20 minutes.
20 minutes. Then I'm going to wrap up, because then we can do the introductions. Maybe one student perspective. Anybody volunteering? If not, I'm going to just step forward. I'm sorry. What are your expectations of the next days?
Introduction to myself, I'm Zakaria. I'm currently a student at this ISIS, master's student. So I came from a business background. I have a little no knowledge at all, the designing, architecture and the neighborhood thing. So I basically want to learn how the architect and the design people think to design the neighborhood, and how I can merge my business perspective into creating the neighborhood.
Fantastic. Well, we can't have one without the other. Then I want, please, an architect. An architect? Fantastic. Thanks for volunteering. So what brings you here, and what are you hoping to get out of it? And maybe just your name.
Okay, I'm Polina. I'm a Ukrainian student from Ukrainian side. And I know UN from several our events that we already had, and they're already organized, same to them actually. And from my expectation from this program actually is a good one, teamwork between different people from different backgrounds, both ethnically, nationally, and from different works that I actually have. And I can see exactly that we will be succeeded in our conceptual projects because we have so many different minds here. I guess we can organize it well in 3 short days. and present some interesting things that actually would be very nice and very, how to say it, presentative in the future. So it will be realistic one projects that we can enjoy.
Fantastic. Thank you, Paulina. Yeah, one round of applause. And then we go restart. Okay, I'll be rounding off by just mentioning that all the projects will make their way into an online environment. I'll be here on Friday to listen and give advice and feedback. And if you have any questions regarding representation, how to show your project, that's my expertise. So also feel free to. But in all seriousness, we will make a dossier which will land online. And the idea is that we build an archive with all these different knowledges that you also rightly point out. So other contexts can possibly also learn from everything that we're doing here. So that's the main aim, that we have a place where we can learn and share together. Thank you for being with us, particularly all the people again who came from Ukraine. We'll now break out into the different sessions. Johanna?
Yeah, maybe just to set the expectation, we'll break out, but then if our state architect will arrive, he will also would like to say something to all of you. So I'm going to ask you to come back. So I know it's a bit inconvenient, but it is what it is. Yeah, and it's close.
Okay.
Thank you.
We're very honored to have the architect that actually voluntarily or informs with two peers the state on where to take the Netherlands and think about, I would say, a healthy and future-proof society at large. We're very happy and honored that Dr. Francesco Veenstra could be here. He is a, there you are, that's your slide, government architect, also founding part of the Vakwerk architect, and multiple, let's say, years of combining your own practice with what an architect could do in terms of policy making and a forward, let's say, contributing to a forward-facing future. So we're very happy that you want to kick off here and welcome everybody. As part of one of the core partners of the whole endeavor, please give a very warm welcome to this.
Well, welcome. I'm in sort of a slightly different position now than I always try to be, because usually I want to really also participate in these kind of events. So working together alongside with you, thinking about the issues that are set on the table. Today, unfortunately, that's not possible. I'm only here for a very short period of time. This morning I had a meeting about the rebuild of an area in the north of the Netherlands, which, well, to a degree has sort of some similarities, but with a total different background as, of course, the rebuild of Ukraine. After this meeting, I need to leave again for another area in the country to talk about rebuilding. But for now, yeah, I just want to strengthen the fact that since this is the second time architects, but also non-architects, people participating in this process, I try to contribute during the event, during a multiple days event, and bringing some brain power, I would say, to the redevelopment of certain areas in Ukraine. It's something we are really happy with, because in what we try to achieve as not only as chief government architect, but with the entire team, some of my colleagues are here as well, is that we try to combine all the different design disciplines together in order to think years, decades ahead, in order to better understand what we have to do now for developing not only better neighborhoods, but also better cities, and eventually, of course, an entire country as part of the European community. So what I've seen in the previous workshop, which I think took 5 days, this one will take 3 days in total, is that bringing all this these forces, all the energy from you together to these sort of workshop environment gives all sorts of new insights, and not only to us, but far more importantly to the municipalities, to the central government of Ukraine, and trying to make sort of slow steps in rebuild. And I think we need to be modest as well. So when the war started in 2022, I was asked by the Dutch House of Parliament to also speak out what are the possibilities for my team to contribute to the rebuild process. And that conversation took place, I think, 3 months after the start of the war. And I said, well, it's far too early to talk about rebuild if we first have to find our way to support Ukraine in everything which is necessary to stay a democratic society and to fight for the rights of the nation itself, and maybe to also become part and establishing a strong relationship with Europe. So we need to be modest. On the other hand, we also need to provide whatever is in our capabilities to support, not only with on a political level, but also with, as I mentioned before, with the brain power we all have. What I've experienced working as an architect here in the Netherlands, but also abroad, working with students in different universities in Rotterdam, also in Delft, also other places in Europe, is that we have the ability to work closely together to come up with all sorts of ideas that cannot be thought of in a professional environment. We start working on a project based on a commission. Something else happens then if we start thinking about solutions to problems in more sort of an open environment. And I think that is what we try to create in the environment you will be part of in these 3 days. And that we have to push forward maybe to also a next atelier that has to be set up after this, and looking at the devastating situation Ukraine is in now. I cannot imagine that it will stop after this, after the next one, etc. So we need to stand closely together to the people of Ukraine. We need to support with the abilities we have, but it always needs to come from a position of participation and not to just bring our ideas and to harvest as Western European countries are likely to be doing, which I saw in the early stages of the work. So modesty is important, but bringing our expertise and collaboration is what we support and what we will continue to support over the next years and probably decades, I would say. So I wish you all like a good time, because we also need to have a good time to create the good thoughts of the next few days in Rotterdam. Last workshop there was already made a reference to the rebuild of Rotterdam 80 years ago after the first bombing in the Second World War. So there are certain parallels to draw. I think the scale we are talking about in Ukraine is extremely different. So looking at the scale, looking at the perspective for not only the next year, the next 5 years, the next 10 years, but I would say for maybe even the next 100 years or the next 3-4 generations is what I hope you all will be doing in these days. So thanks for coming here, and good luck with your atelier.
we think participation, it is of course talking with people, not about people. So that's always what I'm trying to keep in mind, that I actually learned from Ren Koolhaas. Can you think of anybody? But this idea that your good intentions are also...
The answer is no.
But that your good intentions also have maybe like cultural biases that we could question. But I wanted to pose one question, because we were thinking about maybe what we can learn from and with each other also. Are there things that you have come across so far through the lens of the Ukrainian that we could maybe draw lessons from in the Dutch context?
Yeah, I find that a really difficult question to answer. So it's very sort of easy to project for instance, the current issues in the Netherlands on Ukraine. I also made that mistake myself last year to say, when I had a dialogue with Pablo about preparing the previous workshop. So what if we think about, for instance, the development of a new building culture, construction culture, the new European Bauhaus, and introducing the production of bio-based materials, which makes maybe a lot of sense in Ukraine with a very strong and large agricultural industry. That's an issue which is ongoing in the Netherlands, and it's sort of in a process of scale up. But what Pablo explained to me was that, especially the areas which are now part of the front line, are filled with mines. So the demining process which relates to a large extent of space in Ukraine, probably will take the next 10, 20, or maybe even 30 years. So it is impossible to think about using that space to grow bio-based materials for the construction industry when the safety in this area is not guaranteed. So I think the situation where Ukraine is in is fundamentally different to the situation where we are in at the moment. On the other hand, we also need to inspire each other. And so we need to share our developments, but not just project it on the situation in Ukraine, but indeed ask what is needed, and also in terms of inspiration, to better match the needs and the requirements.
That's why we're extra happy for the experts from Ukraine that joined here. Thanks again for traveling. We have some people online later on that you can pose questions to. So if in need for, let's say, a perspective on the ground, just reach out to one of those. Thank you so much for joining us and giving an insight in your practice and words of encouragement to the group. Mr. Francesco Veenstra.